Hi, if you want to watch exclusive content with hot girls that you won't watch on YouTube, namely where Naruto roasts Kushina and Mikoto and many other hot girls without restrictions, then visit my Boosty channel at the link in the description.
A 10-year-old boy was sitting in his little room, which was called an apartment, and writing a note. Tears were running down his cheeks. Having finished writing the note, he folded it and left his apartment and went to the wall that was along the perimeter of Konoha. Having made his way through a tunnel under the wall, the boy went to a waterfall that was not far from the village. "I don't want to cry anymore," said the boy and stuck needles into his eyes. "I don't want anyone else to hear my cries of despair," he said, and using fishing hooks on a line, he tore out my vocal cords. "Well, now the last step. I hope in the next world I will meet my parents," the boy thought and smiled. He stood up from the stone that was in the middle and stepped off the waterfall. The boy was lying in the water. He did not understand why he felt pain. "Hey, little one, are you going to lie there for much longer?" a menacing voice rang out. The boy jerked and felt the bottom with his hand. He stood up and groped his way to where the voice was coming from. "Stay where you are," said the voice. "I am Naruto Uzumaki, and who are you?" the boy asked. "The fox demon. The monster that is sealed within you and because of which you are hated," said the fox. "Where am I?" Naruto asked. "Now you are in your subconscious, and in the real world you have been drifting down the river for a week." "Why am I still alive?" "Because I healed all your wounds that you received when you fell from the waterfall, but I could not restore your eyes and ligaments." "Then how do I speak?" "You're just moving your lips, but since you're in the subconscious, I can hear your thoughts." Naruto spent about another week in his subconscious, half of which the fox could no longer restore wounds. All this time he talked with the fox. The blonde was able to find out the fox's name, who his parents were, and basically a lot of interesting things about the past. "This is already unexpected," said the fox. "What is it?" Naruto asked. "Someone fished you out of the river. Most likely, in a couple of minutes you will again go unconscious." Naruto sighed and lay down on the floor, and after a couple of minutes he lost consciousness. Yes, in his subconscious. The blonde woke up on a soft bed. The room smelled strongly of medicine, which is why Naruto realized that he was in a hospital. For 10 minutes he lay and listened. "How long are you going to pretend?" a female voice rang out. Naruto jumped up abruptly and ran out of the room. "Most likely they brought me back. The hospital layout is the same as in Konoha. But just in case, I'll use sensorics," the blonde thought to himself. Running out of the hospital, he ran down the street and thought that after all, he wasn't in Konoha. 15 minutes later, Naruto ran into a dead end. "You're a quick kid, but now you're at a dead end." A female voice rang out again, the same one he heard in the ward. "Maybe you'll stop and we'll talk?" Naruto turned towards the voice and pointed his finger at his throat. "We have restored your ligaments." "Well, why did you save me then?" Naruto asked in a hoarse voice. "You were drifting down the river, covered in cuts, and if I hadn't saved you, you would have died." "That's exactly what I wanted." The silence had been going on for about 5 minutes and Naruto was tired of it. "If you don't mind, then I will leave this village." "Let's do it this way. You'll spend the night at my place and tell me what happened to you, and if I can't convince you to stay, you'll leave. And by the way, we also restored your eyes, well, almost yours," said the woman. After standing in shock for about a minute, Naruto removed the bandages from his eyes, and as soon as the last layer was removed, light hit his eyes. "So, shall we go?" the girls asked and held out her hand. Naruto took her hand and they went somewhere. Formation of fox mist. The two of them came to a small 2-story house. Entering it, the girl told Naruto to sit at the table and wait, and she went to the kitchen to cook. Half an hour later, the food was on the table. "Well, now tell me about yourself," said the girl, sitting down at the table. Naruto told about how he had been drifting down the river for 2 weeks, how he had ended up in it, why he had no eyes or vocal cords. He told how he was hated, with few exceptions, by the entire village. And finally, how he decided to give everyone a gift and kill himself on the day he was saved from the QB, which was also his birthday. Yes, you have been through a lot, but now you don't have to worry because you can consider this village your home. And now, maybe you can tell me how you restored my ligaments and whose eyes you took. Well, as for the ligaments, you didn't rip them out completely, but with the eyes it's more complicated. We recently bought these eyes from the traders of Konoha. We were going to return them, but you happened. And I didn't say exactly whose eyes these are. The left eye is the Sharingan, and the right is the Byakugan. Naruto choked. What kind of village are you that could buy the most powerful eyes in this world? Here is my maiden memory, said the girl and slapped herself in the face. I am Terumi Mei, Mizukage of the village hidden in the fog. It is in this village that you are. Naruto choked again. What, was all the blonde could say. If you don't believe me, go look in the mirror, and I'll go get this damn hat, Mei said and went to the second floor, and Naruto ran to the mirror in the hallway. Jashin take me, she wasn't joking. And you didn't say anything about you being a cultist, said the girl, standing in the headdress of the Mizukage behind Naruto. You still haven't told me why you saved me. Well, there are 2 reasons. The first is that if it weren't for me, you would have died. The second is that you smelled like a tailed beast chakra from a kilometer away. At first, I thought it was preparation for an attack, but I found you. Now my question. What did you decide about staying? Can I think some more? I'll tell you everything tomorrow. Now I'd like to sleep, do you mind? Mei agreed and showed Naruto where he could sleep. A month passed. Naruto decided to stay in the hidden fog and began to live with his savior. He became close to the Mizukage. Mei trained him in the techniques of the fog village and kenjutsu. A year later, Naruto was made one of the 7 swordsmen of the fog, handing him the all-piercing sword Nuabari. During this year, no one in the village looked at him with disgust. But at first they looked at him with pity, which really struck Naruto. He asked why they did not hate him, to which he always received one answer in response: you protect us by keeping the demon fox in you. It was because of these words that the blonde realized that he finally found a home. The fog gave me a home and peace, so I must do everything for the fog. Everything for the fog. This phrase became Naruto's life credo. Also on the advice of Mei, Naruto came up with his own image. He wore a checkered long-sleeved t-shirt and an orange short-sleeved shirt, black cargo pants and standard shinobi sandals. He also wore a straw hat and an orange cloak made of chakra-conducting metal. And the whole image was completed by a fox mask, but the image was slightly supplemented as soon as he left the village. Naruto blindfolded himself. To any questions from the villagers, he answered, only the fog can see my eyes. Within a year, Naruto became known as the strongest swordsman of the mist, the fox mist named Ku. Commentary on the rise of fox mist. Here is the continuation. I am waiting for your criticism and questions. Exchange teacher. Another 4 years passed. The blonde turned 15 2 weeks ago. In addition to working as an ANBU, he also worked as a teacher at the school, since he was only sent on very difficult missions. Mei called Naruto to her. Naruto, sit down, there is a task for you. I'm listening, Mizukage-sama. You will become an exchange teacher. You are going to Konoha. And don't say that you don't like that place, I know everything myself. You are leaving tonight. You are free. Naruto stood up and bowed. Leaving the office. On the way home, he stopped at his favorite cafe and ate 5 servings of spicy curry there. Having said that he was going on a mission with an indefinite date, he left the cafe. Arriving home, Naruto began to prepare for the mission. At 5 o'clock in the evening, the blonde was already standing near the gate and waiting for Mei. She arrived 5 minutes later. Aren't you mad at me? No, my love, said the blonde and hugged the girl. Then go ahead, said the girl, and kissing him on the cheek, she disappeared into Shukshin. Naruto blindfolded himself and put on a mask, walking out of the village. Naruto had been walking for 2 days already and he had a couple of hours left to his destination. He was walking into a headwind that was fluttering his cloak tails in different directions. I forgot to mention that Naruto's cloak is cut into 9 tails. Finally, the gates of Konoha appeared on the horizon. Who are you and what is the purpose of your visit? Ku. Exchange teacher. So this is what you look like. Oh yeah, the Hokage is waiting for you. The blonde headed to the residence. Half an hour later he was already at the Hokage's office. I have arrived, Hokage-sama, Naruto said as he entered the office. You're just in time, Kusama. Meet Iruka. At first, he will guide you, Hiruzen said, pointing to the man who was sitting opposite him. The blonde walked up to the table and sat down next to Iruka, handing the Hokage a black folder. Taking it, Hiruzen wrote something there and gave it back. Naruto, having learned all the necessary information, bowed and left the office. He went to the apartment that was given to him, looking at the map, thinking to himself that little had changed in the village. Arriving at the temporary home, he took off his cloak and hung it on a hook, also took off his mask and hat and put them on the nightstand near the bed. Naruto had lunch and took a shower. After the shower, the blonde sat in front of the mirror and began to comb his luxurious hair that reached his waist. Having spent about an hour on this, the blonde decided that he would go to bed until tomorrow morning. First day in class. Naruto woke up from a knock on the door. He opened the door. Iruka stood on the threshold. Greetings, Iruka-sama. Do you need something? No, Kusama. I came to offer you a tour of the village. I agree. You go ahead while I get dressed, Naruto said and gestured for Iruka to come inside. Iruka walked over and sat down at the table in the kitchen. The blonde made some tea and went to get dressed. 15 minutes later, Naruto, dressed, returned to the kitchen and began to wait for Iruka. 5 minutes later, they both went outside. They walked around the village for 2 whole hours, Iruka telling stories and Naruto listening. Their path ended at the academy. Your class is in room 410. Iruka said and entered the academy. Naruto found his class in half an hour, since he didn't know the layout of the academy. Greetings. I am your exchange teacher, said the blonde man entering the classroom. You're late, sensei, said one of the students. Sorry. Let's do it this way, today we'll get to know each other, and tomorrow we'll start studying. The children just nodded. Let's start with you, Naruto said, pointing to the girl in the first row. In half an hour, all the children introduced themselves. The blonde recognized only one girl, Hanabi Hyuga. Now it's my turn. I'm Ku, I'm not a member of a clan. I'm one of the swordsmen of the fog. I have a girlfriend, but I won't tell you about her. I also like spicy curry. Now you can ask me about myself. Are you blind? Asked the boy from the Nara clan. Well, from the point of view of an ordinary person, yes, but from the point of view of a censor, I see even better than you. Why did you choose the image of a fox? Asked the girls from the Hugo clan. I grew up in a sect that worshipped the 9-tailed fox. At the age of 10, I was saved by the shinobi of the hidden mist. My outfit is a tribute to the past, Naruto said with calmness on his face and rage in his soul. The blonde answered the students' questions for about 40 more minutes. The school day is over for today, we'll meet tomorrow, said the blonde and left the classroom. Destruction of the gang of Nuknin. Naruto had been living and teaching in Konoha for a month already. Today he had a day off, but as luck would have it, the Hokage called him. Did you call Hokage-sama? Yes. I have a task for you and yes, the Mizukage gave the go-ahead for this, here is the permission, Hiruzen said and handed over a piece of paper. Naruto took it and looked at the piece of paper. I'm listening. In general, you and Team 7 will go to the vegetable country, where, according to intelligence reports, a gang of Nuknin has appeared, each of them is no lower than a jounin. When should we set out? At the gate in 2 hours. Naruto nodded and disappeared into the fog. Having quickly gotten ready and run into Ichiraku to eat some spicy ramen, the blonde went to the gate, where they were already waiting for him. "Hello, Ku, are you coming with us on the mission?" asked the ash-haired man in a mask covering half his face. "Yes, Kakashi, the Hokage even sent a request to the Mizukage for this." "And where are your children?" "I think they'll be here in about 10 minutes. 5 minutes later, 2 girls and 1 guy approached Kakashi. One was pink-haired in a red cape, the second was a brunette in a light purple sweatshirt. She also had a Byakugan. The guy was also a brunette, he had very pale skin, and he himself was in standard ANBU gear without a cape and mask. "Here they are. Meet Sakura, Hinata, and Sai." Kakashi introduced his students. "I'm Ku, nice to meet you." "Well, let's move out," said the ash-haired man and gestured for them to follow him. Team 7 and Naruto were already walking for the second day. Throughout the entire journey, Kakashi's students asked the blonde about himself. Naruto answered them with prepared legends that he had come up with for the world beyond the mist, and he also told about his adventures in other countries. "Kusama, Kakashi-sensei, who of you is stronger?" Sai asked. Kakashi was slightly stunned, and Naruto immediately replied, "Of course, Kakashi." "Seriously? And I thought you were Kusama, you serve in the ANBU." "Even though I serve in the ANBU, I am a censor." "And you also didn't take into account the fact that Kakashi is also an ANBU fighter," said Naruto, which plunged Kakashi into an even greater stupor. 3 days later they reached their destination and rented a room at a hotel. In the morning Naruto went on reconnaissance. So, there are about 50 of them inside the cave, and the cave itself is very branched and has several levels. Naruto summed up, scanning the gang's habitat. Returning to the team, the blonde told them everything he learned. "Sai, you will go with me, Hinata, you will go with Sakura, and Ku will go alone," said Kakashi, and half an hour later all 5 were standing at the cave. Naruto walked through the cave and killed everyone he met along the way, sealing their bodies. "I thought they would be stronger, I don't even need to use a needle," the blonde thought to himself. "I've cleared my territory, taken everything valuable and informative, now I can go to the exit," the blonde thought and went to the exit. Naruto sat down on a log at the entrance and, lighting a pipe, began to wait for the others. He sat for about an hour and finally Team 7 came out of the cave. "Are you done?" "I ask you to hand over the bodies to me," said the blonde. "You're as fast as always, Ku." "Here, catch this," Kakashi said and threw Naruto 2 scrolls. "Have you worked together before?" Sai asked. "Even though he kept quiet about it, we completed a couple dozen missions together," the ash-haired man answered. Naruto stood up and went back to Konoha. 4 days later they returned to the village. Naruto asked the Hokage for one of Orochimaru's laboratories. "Well, let's start extracting information," Naruto said and began to unseal the bodies. With the help of seals, he read all the knowledge that had accumulated in the brain over his entire life. After a couple of hours, Naruto extracted knowledge from all the bodies and, having learned little of interest, went to report everything to Hiruzen. Class training. A week has passed since the end of the mission. Naruto continued teaching at the academy. "So class, today we will have a practical lesson, I'm waiting for you in the backyard," Naruto said and disappeared into the fog. 20 minutes later the whole class was in the backyard, and the blonde was sitting under a tree and smoking a pipe. "First, show what you can do in throwing iron." "Are we going to learn to throw kunai again?" one of the students asked, upset. "Let's do it this way. You show me what you can do, and then I'll show you what I can do." "Agreed? Then let's get started." Half an hour later, everyone in the class did what Naruto asked. The class average was 6 out of 10. "Okay, now it's my turn," said the blonde and went to the throwing line. He took a dozen kunai and put them between his fingers. Naruto sharply waved his hand vertically and all the kunai disappeared, and a moment later there was a crack. All the students looked at the targets and stood in a stupor. All the kunai not only hit the targets but also broke them in half. "Well, that's the minimum you can do with me," Naruto said and smiled. He became attached to these children because they were of little use to anyone, since many of them were members of side branches of their clans. Even Hanabi was of no use to her father, since all his attention was directed to the future head of the clan, Hinata. Naruto explained to the class how to throw iron correctly and what the nuances of each type of throwing weapon are. The children spent all their lessons throwing kunai, which gave results. Now each of the students threw iron 10 out of 10. Classes are over for today, everyone is free to go, Naruto said and walked along the fence to the street. In the evening, Naruto sat in his apartment and read the scroll, thinking at the same time that it was time to start truly training his students. I have about a year and a half left, I think this time will be enough for me, Naruto thought. In the morning, the blondie came to the academy earlier than usual. Hello children. From today we will begin real training. Let's start with something simple, Naruto said and sat down. On the ceiling. That's right, you'll learn to walk on the walls, and then on the ceiling, said the blonde and explained the basic information. A couple of hours later, all the students were able to climb up to Naruto on the ceiling. Well done. And now a new task. For a month, you will move around the academy exclusively on the ceiling. And yes, I will move like that too. Kusama, what if we fall? You will receive a penalty exercise, after completing which you will have to return to the ceiling. And now the next exercise, here is a scroll for each of you where the basic techniques of Konoha are described, said Naruto and handed out a scroll to each. The blonde sat down in the place where he had stood a couple of minutes ago and lit a cigarette. Throughout the school day, each student fell from the ceiling and was punished with physical exercise. That's all for today. Tomorrow, as soon as you cross the threshold of the academy, go straight to the ceiling. And now, goodbye, Naruto said and disappeared into the fog. A year and a half passed. Everyone from Naruto's class was at the level of Jounin, weak but Jounin. Today was the final exam, which everyone from the class passed, and now Naruto was sitting in the audience and talking with Hanabi's father, that is, with the head of the Hyuga clan. Hanabi herself was sitting next to her father. The blonde listened to various insults addressed to him, delusional ideas that he was preparing a coup against the main line with the help of Hanabi, again accusations, and promises that he was a corpse. Hanabi sat and cried under a tree, and all because her father dumped a bucket of verbal slop on her teacher who she liked, and now most likely the teacher hates her. Unexpectedly for her, someone picked her up and carried her somewhere. From the person who carried her, warmth emanated that completely covered her, and without opening her eyes, she said for some reason, "Dad?" "Well, if that's what you want, then yes, I'm your dad." Naruto's voice rang out. Hanabi suddenly opened her eyes and saw that her teacher was carrying her in his arms. "Kusama, is that you?" she asked and tried to break free. Am I that disgusting to you? What? And no. In response to her words, Naruto only hugged her tighter. Naruto took her to a cafe where he fed her ice cream and calmed her down, and again upset her by saying that today he was leaving for his village. They said goodbye at the gate and Naruto walked away from the village. "Kusama, no, Dad, can I go with you?" Naruto heard behind him. Naruto walked up to Hanabi, causing her to cringe, expecting a blow. "Of course, my daughter," said the blonde and patted her on the head. She opened her eyes and saw an outstretched hand. "Well, let's go home," Naruto said and smiled a real smile. Capture mission. A week later, Naruto and Hanabi arrived in Kiri, or rather the hidden fog. "This is your new home, Hanabi," Naruto said as he entered the village. "This doesn't look like Konoha at all," said Hanabi, on the blonde's back. Naruto went into his favorite cafe. "Oh Kusama, you're back, as usual? And who is this girl? I've never seen her before," said the man behind the counter. "No, we just came to tell you that I'm back. And about her, she's my daughter," Naruto said and patted Hanabi on the head. The man at first opened his eyes in surprise, and then smiled. Naruto and Hanabi left the cafe and went to the Mizuki's residence, which they reached in 20 minutes. "Mei-chan, we're back," Naruto said happily as he entered the office. We? The Mizukage asked in surprise. Yes. Here, meet Hanabi, our daughter, said the blonde and brought out the Hyuga from behind his back. What? A daughter? And also from the Hyuga clan. Explain. Naruto explained the whole situation to Mei. Yes, well, you are crazy. Okay, in the evening we will get to know each other normally. And now go, I will come home in a couple of hours, said Mizukage. The blonde smiled and, taking Hanabi by the hand, they left the office. Naruto and Hanabi were sitting and drinking tea, discussing what they would do in the near future. Mei entered the house and told Naruto that he could go get ready, and sat down with Hanabi at the table. Well, let's get acquainted. I'm Mei, the girlfriend of the blonde guy who went to the second floor. I am Hanabi, nice to meet you, Mei-sama. May I ask where Dad went? If you want, you can call me Mom, and as for your father, he went to get ready, because he has a couple of secrets that he needs to tell you. 10 minutes later Naruto returned to the living room without the bandages on his face, but his eyes were still closed. Hanabi, since we are now a family, I must tell you a couple of secrets. First, my real name is Naruto Uzumaki. Yes, that same. Naruto told his adopted daughter everything about himself and showed her his eyes. Hanabi listened carefully to everything, hugged Naruto and said that she accepts him just as he accepted her. A month passed, Naruto trained Hanabi. Yes, that's right, you're great, and now you can rest. Dad, let's go eat some spicy curry. Come on, Dad, come on, let's go, Hanabi insisted. Okay, let's go, Naruto said and took her hand. Half an hour later they were sitting in Naruto's favorite cafe and eating spicy curry that could melt metal. Well, that's what it felt like when you ate it. Well, how do you like it? As always, delicious and spicy, said Hanabi, greedily gulping air. Naruto-sama is calling you Mizukage-sama, said the Anbu who appeared. Tell her that I'll be there in 15 minutes. The Anbu nodded and disappeared into the shukshin. After taking Hanabi home, Naruto went to the residence. Did you call Mizukage-sama? The blonde asked as he entered the office. Yes, Naruto. A task has appeared for you. The leaf was attacked. The attackers were identified as Itachi, Uchiha and Kisame. Your task will be to capture Kisame and Samehada. When should we set out? As soon as you get ready. You're free. Naruto bowed and disappeared into the fog. In 10 minutes the blonde got ready and, telling Hanabi that he was going on a mission, left the village. So where should I look for him? And Itachi is with him. Damn. Naruto thought as he sat in front of the fire at night. Well, first I need to come up with a plan. I know Kisame's abilities and half of Itachi's abilities. It's better to separate them and seal them one by one, although Itachi can only be distracted. Okay, I need to get some sleep. Naruto thought and climbed the tree. Two people in cloaks with red clouds and a straw hat on their heads were walking along the road. One of them had something huge, wrapped in bandages, hanging on his back. A group of people, wandering jesters by the look of them, were walking towards them. They were singing about how some men ate meat and how someone was telling them something, but they didn't understand. As soon as the people in cloaks caught up with the jesters, Itachi began to study them and saw someone he didn't expect. A Sasuke? Itachi said, grabbing one passing person by the shoulder. Sorry sir, you are mistaken, said the captured man. Itachi quickly brought himself back to normal and apologized and went on. After walking for 5 minutes, Uchiha realized that he did not hear the jokes from Kisame, which should have been pouring out after his mistake. Itachi looked around and did not see either the crowd that should be walking along the road, or his partner Kisame. He began to run around the area and look for his partner, but without success. In the evening, Naruto stood in the Mizukage's office. The task is completed, said the blonde, swaying from side to side. Did you put a barrier on the door? Mei asked. Having received an affirmative nod, she instantly found herself in front of the guy and, embracing him, began kissing his face. After 10 minutes of such actions, she sat back down in her place, tidying herself up. Naruto handed her 2 scrolls, but Mei took only one, saying, try to master Samehada, maybe it will work. The blonde nodded and left the office. Arriving home, Naruto told Hanabi that he would rest a little and, getting up, fell onto the bed in his room. Throwing off his clothes from his torso, he concentrated chakra in his hands and began to heal himself. After a while, Mei came and sat down next to him and laid Naruto's head on her lap. "He's strong, he broke free 5 times, it's a pity that he left the village." "You're great, Naruto, thank you," said Mei, stroking the blonde's long hair. "I just got an idea," Naruto said with a smile on his face. "Spill it." "Do you want to go on a date with me tomorrow?" "I agree, but now you need to rest." Naruto smiled again and kissed Mei on the cheek, falling asleep. Weekdays. Commentary on weekdays. Perhaps the chapter turned out a little dumb, so sorry. Now in the plot, Hanabi will be called Himawari so that Konoha won't suspect anything. Naruto got up at 7 o'clock in the morning. Seeing a note on the nightstand, he read it. It said, "I'm waiting for you in the evening, my love." The blonde went down and started making breakfast. Half an hour later, Himawari woke up. "Himawari-chan, sit down and have breakfast, and then we'll go train." Hooray, finally training. After breakfast they went out into the backyard. "Since you already studied with me, you already know the theory and are physically trained, so let's start with Kenjutsu," Naruto said and threw Himawari a wooden katana. "Let's start with the standard stances, repeat after me." The blonde began to show the stances and the blows that are delivered from them. In a couple of hours, Himawari managed to master all 8 stances. "You're great, usually it takes about a week. So now create a shadow clone." High. Himawari shouted and created a clone. "Now you will strike the same blows." Himawari began practicing her blows, and Naruto unsealed Samahata. As soon as he took it in his hands, they were pierced by spikes. "Oh, you Christian carp, you will either take me for the owner or I will fry you and eat you," the blonde said in a raised voice, shaking the sword. He began to pass chakra through it. After 10 minutes, the spikes disappeared, and Naruto exhaled. "Well, finally," said the blonde and sealed Samahata into a seal on his shoulder. "What were you doing, Dad?" Himawari asked without looking up from her studies. "It was one of the 7 swords of the mist, Samahata. I already told you about it, I hope you remember its features." "Yes, Dad." At 6 o'clock in the evening Naruto told Himawari that training was over for today. Entering the house Naruto changed into an orange shirt with rolled-up sleeves and black pants. He tied his long hair in a ponytail. Arriving at the residence, he scanned the Mizuki's office and entered it. "They say that the princess is sitting here in captivity, so I came for her to save her." Mei stood in the center of the office, dressed in a red, fitted dress. Her hair was curled into small curls, which gave it volume and splendor. "Finally you saved me, Prince," said Mei and hung on the blonde's neck. They went to an expensive restaurant where the blonde had booked a table a week ago. After sitting in the restaurant for about 2 hours, Naruto and Mei went for a walk around the village. "Thank you, Naruto," she said as they walked down a deserted street. "What are you thanking me for?" "You are always on my side, you help not only me but the whole village, you are the first who loved me for my soul, and not for my status." "I can tell you the same thing, so you don't have to thank me. As long as you give me your warmth, I will give you mine," Naruto said and kissed her. "As always, your lips are hot and dangerous," said the blonde, pulling away from her lips. "My love, I want dessert." "Not another word." Naruto picked up Mei in his arms and went home. Arriving about 15 minutes early, he put her on the bed in the bedroom and went to the door and set up sound barriers. "Your dessert is served, princess," Naruto said, hovering over Mei. "Come to me, my prince." What should have happened happened. 2 loving people became one. Since I don't know how to describe the spires of the villa, we'll do without them. Naruto woke up from a kiss on the cheek. He hugged Mei, who was lying on top of him. "Did you take the day off?" "Yes, are you against it?" "No, I'm just surprised." "How about training Himawari?" "I agree." After these words they got up and dressed and went down to the kitchen. Naruto started to prepare breakfast, and Mei helped him. After 40 minutes Himawari came down. Sitting down at the table she blushed. "Are you sick?" Mei asked, putting her hand to the girl's forehead. "When you make a brother, in addition to sound barriers, also put up door locks." After these words, Naruto and Mei turned red as tomatoes. What did you see?" Almost everything, Mom." The blonde man walked up and gave his daughter a light slap on the back of the head. "Have breakfast and let's start training." Half an hour later, all three were in the backyard. "First, let's have a sparring session. You can only use Kenjutsu and Byakugan." "Hi." Himawari and Naruto took wooden katanas and stood opposite each other. Mei gave the start, after which Himawari sharply closed the distance. She began to deliver combination strikes from different stances. "Well done, now let's see how you defend." After these words, Naruto switched from defense to offense. After 20 strikes, Himawari was no longer able to block the strikes. "I'm surprised, you were able to block 20 blows the first time. You have hidden talent. Now let's move on to training. Here are scrolls with styles that are based on those 8 stances," Naruto said and gave Himawari a scroll. She created a shadow clone to whom she gave the scroll, and she herself began to train the stances further. The blonde was again surprised by her resourcefulness and decided to train too. He unsealed Samahata and also created a clone that had a needle. The clone suddenly began to attack the original. But Naruto defended himself with Samahata. While defending, the blonde blocked his view, which the clone took advantage of and, sharply reducing the distance, tried to strike him in the neck, but was dispelled by a kick to the head. So the whole day passed, Naruto and Himawari trained, and Mei watched them and sometimes helped her daughter. Gathering information. A couple of months passed. A new school year began at the academy and Naruto was appointed as a teacher again. Himawari had been training in Kenjutsu all this time and now she is at the level of a jounin, which is why the blonde began to train her in the use of the Byakugan. "Well, you know the skills of your dojutsu, but what about the techniques of the Hyuga clan?" asked Naruto, sitting in a lotus position under a tree, smoking a pipe. "I asked Hayashi-sama many times to teach me, but he always refused, citing the fact that he needed to train Hinata. All I could do was study the basic information about the Byakugan." Himawari said sadly. "I see. So now I'll wrap up the Sharingan so it doesn't get in the way." In general, all the techniques of the Hyuga clan are divided into defensive and offensive. Which ones do you want to start with? Let's start with protective dads. Okay, the basic defensive technique is rotation. Activate the Byakugan and direct chakra into your palms. Himawari did everything as told. Naruto created 9 shadow clones. "Now I will start throwing kunai at you, and your task is to start spinning and reflect the iron flying at you, understand?" "Hi." For 5 hours Naruto trained his daughter until he was distracted by an ANBU that appeared from Shukshin. "Naruto-sama is calling you, Mizukage. I'll be there in 5 minutes." The blonde told Himawari that training was over for the day and headed to the residence. 4 minutes later, he was already standing in front of the Mizukage. "Did you call Mizukage-sama?" "Yes, a task has appeared for you, but first take this," read the intelligence report. Said Mei and put a black folder on the table. Naruto took it and began to study what was written. Half a minute later, the blonde's eyes popped out of his head. That is, a missing nin from Konoha named Sasuke Uchiha killed his brother Itachi, received the Manjiko, and then the Eternal Manjiko, after which he joined the Akatsuki and attacked the Reikage's brother, who is a Jinchuriki, but he failed, and because of that the Reikage calls a meeting of the 5 Kage. Did I understand everything correctly? Now about the task, since the meeting will be in a month, you need to get any useful information during this time, and 2 months before the meeting you will return to the village and accompany me. You have an hour to prepare. There is Mizukage-sama. Naruto said and disappeared into the Shukshin. A couple of minutes later, he was already standing in the armory of the house and collecting equipment. Coming out half an hour later, all hung with scrolls, he put on his metal cloak, a straw hat, rolled up his eyes and put on a fox mask. Having said goodbye to Himawari, The blonde went to his favorite cafe to eat a couple of servings of spicy curry. Half an hour later he was standing at the gates in Kiri and saying goodbye to Mei. "I'm sorry for giving you such long missions, but you're the only one I can entrust this to." "I'm not angry with you, my love," Naruto said and kissed his beloved. Pulling away from each other, the blonde said that it was time for him to go and disappeared into Shukshin. 4 hours later, night fell and Naruto set up camp. It's worth thinking about a plan and order of actions. To begin with, it's worth capturing and interrogating Uchiha. I think the trick with the wandering jesters will work again. It's also worth interrogating the leader of the Akatsuki, as I remember his lair in the Rain Village. Then we need to run around Orochimaru's shelters and hidden villages. The blonde sat and thought, in front of the fire in the lotus position. A couple of days later, Naruto was able to find Sasuke and pull off his trick with the wandering jesters. He was able to capture the entire group. Sasuke woke up tied up in some cave. Opposite him sat a man in an orange cloak and a fox mask. He also had a straw hat on. "Will you answer my questions?" asked the man in the cloak. "Who are you?" Sasuke asked and tried to activate the Sharingan. "I thought I could be recognized by my appearance." "Well, okay, I'm Ku. Figure out the rest yourself, and by the way, you don't even have to try to use the Sharingan or techniques. You won't be able to anyway because of the barrier. Orochimaru told me about you, and what did the strongest swordsman of the mist need from a humble shinobi? It's strange, they said that you are a genius, but you can't grasp the essence of the conversation. I need answers to questions, then you can ask yours." "I'm listening." Naruto asked about 50 questions. "Well, the last question. What are you going to do next?" "I'm going to kill all the elders of Konoha who were involved in the massacre of my clan. And now it's my turn to ask questions. Where are my partners?" "There they are," Naruto said, pointing his finger at the 2 tied-up people. "That's not all. Where is Suigetsu?" "He is a missing nin of the Mist Village, so I can't let him go. I tried to lure the red-haired one to my side, but she didn't want to leave you at all." "Okay, I have to go," said the blonde and took a scroll out of his head, after which he untied Sasuke and finally read his memories with the help of his Manjiko. Yes, Naruto has a Manjiko. He got it during one of his training sessions, accidentally immersing himself in an illusion. 4 days later Naruto arrived at the Rain Village. He specially passed through the barrier so that he would be noticed. A couple of hours later, when the blonde was walking around the village, he was suddenly pulled into a gateway where a man in a cloak with red clouds was standing. The blonde's body was pierced by a pin that conducts chakra. "Oh, I was looking for you." "Wait, are you a doll?" Naruto said and turned into water. He appeared behind the man. The blonde pulled out one of the piercings and began to absorb the chakra that was flowing into him. "Found it." After these words, the entire village was covered in fog. Naruto suddenly appeared in front of Nagato. "Let's just answer my questions and I'll leave." "Who are you and how dare you stand before God?" Oh, this is a case of megalomania, and as I understand it, we won't be able to have a normal conversation." "Well, okay then I'll use Blanc B," Naruto said and used his Manjioko. The blonde had been watching Nagato's memory for 40 minutes already. "Yes, you have an interesting life, and now after I removed all the Genjutsu and the seal, I hope that we will talk." Nagato agreed to talk. The happy blonde sat down opposite him in the lotus position and took out his phone. Naruto told him that he was immersed in many Genjutsu that did not allow him to take a sober look at everything that was happening. 20 minutes later Konan arrived, and as soon as she saw the man sitting in their shelter, she immediately took a fighting stance. "Calm down, Konan is a friend. He freed me from Genjutsu and gave me a chance to improve, although I don't understand how." "Okay, I have to go, and yes, everything I said is still valid." "Here you go," Naruto said and threw the flask to Konan. "What is this?" the girl asked. "This is my gift to you, or to be more precise, these are the cells of the first Hokage. There are already instructions inside, so you'll figure it out," Naruto said and disappeared into the fog. He found himself outside the village. For the rest of the time, Naruto ran around the hidden villages and obtained information. 3 days before the Kage summit, he returned to the fog. Mizukage-sama, the mission is accomplished. You managed to do it even a day earlier. Now give me the scrolls." "Okay, now can I go?" The last question, who are Nagato and Conan that came to our village? Everything is written in the scroll. Then you are free. Naruto disappeared into Shunshin and was home 20 minutes later. Commentary on information collection. I have a question for you, should Himawari give Zabuza sword or not? Kage meeting. As soon as Naruto entered the house, Himawari flew into him, causing him to almost fall. Dad, you're finally back, the girl shouted. And you have become stronger than you were a month ago. I almost fell off my feet. I trained all the time. My mother said that I was equal in strength to the swordsman of the fog. Well, if that's the case, then don't you want to become one of them? Yes, sure. Naruto said to follow him, and in 20 minutes they were at a small building. They entered it, and before their eyes appeared a small room with a table in the center and a wooden pedestal near the wall. The blonde approached it and touched it with his hand. The wooden pedestal opened and Himawari saw 4 of the 7 swords of the mist. So which one should I give you? I think Kiba will suit you, Naruto said, and took the twin blades. Well, damn, I wanted Kubikuri Bocho, but he's not here. Whose dad is he? Zabuza, and he died in battle with Kakashi and the sword remained with him. Dad, will you train me with swords? Yes, sure. They came to the training ground and Naruto explained to her how to use dual swords correctly and also gave her a couple of scrolls with techniques. For 3 days, the blonde trained his daughter in the use of dual swords and how to properly use techniques to increase the strength of the swords. He also arranged a couple of sparring matches to find out Himawari's strength. In the evening, Naruto, Mei, and Himawari were sitting and having dinner. Tomorrow is the Kage meeting and I want to ask you to accompany me. You didn't even have to ask, said the blonde. Of course, Mom. Himawari said. In the morning, all 3 were standing at the gate. In addition to her usual clothes, Mei was wearing a cloak with the inscription Mizukage. She also had a hat with the kanji water. Naruto was dressed as usual, and Himawari, taking an example from her father, dressed the same as him, even rolled her eyes. How shall we go, so that we can be on time or so that we are a little late? Let's be a little late, my love, Mei said with a smile. Naruto began to emit fog and grabbing the girls by the hands they ran along the road. The blonde could move faster and even teleport in the fog, and if he gave someone his chakra, then the one who received his chakra would also move faster in the fog. 5 hours later they arrived in the Land of Iron, at the place where the meeting was held. You're late, Mizukage-sama, the Raikage said to the incoming trio. Since everyone is here, then let's begin the meeting. Bodyguards, go to the balconies that you see above, Mifune said. All the bodyguards did as they were ordered. To Naruto's surprise, the 5th Hokage, who had recently taken up her post, chose Sakura and Hinata to accompany them. Dad, what happened to the 3rd one? Himawari asked in a whisper. He retired citing old age and passed the post to his student, Naruto answered also in a whisper. So why did you call us, Raikage? The Hokage asked with a hint of anger in her voice. We need to decide something about the Akatsuki. They already have 7-tailed ones, only the 8-tailed and 9-tailed ones remain, but the latter has not been seen for 7 years, and all because Konoha did not keep an eye on its Jinchuriki, said the Raikage. The verbal skirmish between the Raikage and the Hokage lasted for about 10 minutes until they were interrupted by a man in an Akatsuki cloak and mask who appeared out of nowhere. Everyone got into fighting stances except for the 3 from the fog. Greetings to you, gentlemen Kage. I am Madara Uchiha and I declare the 4th Shinobi War. You have a week to prepare, said the man in the mask and disappeared, as the Raikage tried to fly into him in a cloak of lightning. So why the hell are you just sitting there, Mizukage? I give you my word, Mei said, after which Naruto and Himawari appeared next to her. According to the information received, it was planned and he wasn't joking about the war. This man disbanded the Akatsuki, but it doesn't matter, he has an army of genetically modified creatures made from the cells of the 1st Hokage, and there are at least 1 million of them, so the village of Fog is putting forward a peace treaty of all 5 villages. These scrolls contain all the evidence of my words, the blonde said while handing out the scrolls. 5 minutes later, all the Kage had their eyes on their foreheads. Because of the information they received, all the Kage agreed to a peace treaty and spent a couple of hours discussing how best to form an alliance army. It was decided to divide all the shinobi into 5 parts, 3 combat, 1 support part, and 1 first aid. A small special unit of 100 Fagambu was also formed, headed by Naruto. After the meeting, Tsunade invited Mei to drink some sake. They rented 2 rooms at the inn, 1 for themselves and 1 for their bodyguards. In the room, Naruto, Himawari, Hinata, and Sakura were sitting at the table, waiting for dinner. "Hinata didn't think that you were into girls. You constantly look at my daughter. Did you really like her? But you haven't even seen her face," Naruto said, smiling under his mask. "Oh, what? And no, it's just that her chakra reminds me of someone." Himawari and Naruto exchanged glances and the blonde just shrugged, as if to say, "Decide for yourself." The girl took off her cloak and mask and also unrolled her eyes. "H. Hanabi, is that really you? Everyone thought that you killed yourself because of that conversation between your father and Kusama. You could say that. Your sister died that day. I am Himawari Uzumaki, daughter of Ku Uzumaki." "Uzumaki?" the Konoha Kunoichi asked in unison with sadness in their eyes. "Even though my father says that he is not part of any clan, he is still from the Uzumaki clan," said Himawari, putting on everything that she had taken off earlier. In the morning, the 2 Kage and their escorts returned to their villages. The 4th Shinobi War begins. Upon arrival at the village, Mei began mobilizing the shinobi and preparing resources. Naruto met with his unit. "Greetings to you, suicide bombers," Naruto said as he entered the ANBU base. "You are insulting Naruto-sama. We were given a choice and we chose to defend the village on the battlefield." In the village of Mist, Naruto was called by his real name, and a nickname only when strangers were nearby. Naruto told them about how many enemies there would be and about his plan. "Understand everything? Then go and prepare the resources." "Hi," 100 voices exclaimed, and everyone disappeared into the section. The blonde returned home and sat down in the living room and began to meditate. 5 minutes later he found himself in his subconscious. "Hey Kurama, I have a request." "So what kind? Can you start accumulating chakra more vigorously?" "I read your thoughts, so I'm already doing it and I can't wait for what you've come up with to start," said the fox and lay down back to sleep. A week later, the alliance met at the appointed place. "I want you to use all your power, you can't hide anymore, my love," said Mei standing in front of the headquarters, hugging the blonde. "That's how it was planned, don't worry, I'll take on most of the enemies." They're coming," shouted the running shinobi. Naruto immediately evaporated into Shukshin and appeared on the hill where the alliance army was. A white line was visible on the horizon that was slowly approaching them. The blonde stood on the slope of the hill, from where everyone could see him, and took off his hat and mask, sealing them in a seal on his wrist. After that, he unrolled his eyes and folded several seals, which is why he was first covered in writing, which disappeared after half a minute. As soon as the writing disappeared, a wave of chakra rolled over the area of a kilometer due to the power that even the Kage got goosebumps on his back. Naruto separated part of the chakra that turned into him, but with 9 tails and fox ears, he also had a fog protector on him. Strong chakra was also felt from the clone. The chakra of the Biju, but weaker than the original. "Finally, it's been so long since I was free. Oh, you even gave me all my strength. Wait, why are they so far away? Should I wait again?" "Don't grumble, you need to prepare before attacking," the blonde said, unsealing Samahata and Decapitator. He handed both swords to the fox. "Oh, my little size, what will you fight with since I have both swords?" said Kurama, taking the swords from the blonde. Naruto tied the mist protector on his forehead and, surprisingly, unsealed 2 needles. "And when did you manage to make the second legendary sword?" asked the fox. "And you should sleep more often," the blonde teased him. They both sat down on the slope. The entire alliance army, except for the mist shinobi, were in shock. In front of them stood a man who had died 7 years ago and a 9-tailed beast in the form of a man. After half an hour, the white line had grown and now there were thousands of white Zetsu standing in front of the alliance. They are actually vegetables, said the fox, grinning. Are you ready? Naruto asked. You still ask, of course. Naruto and Kurama began to form seals, and after about 10 seconds they began to spew orange mist from their mouths, and after another minute half of the army disappeared into the mist. Well, I think you should be able to handle half of it, the main thing is not to step foot in the fog. Naruto said, after which he and Kurama jumped into the fog. They used this technique only as a last resort, because this technique implied the complete destruction of the enemy in the shortest possible time without a chance of survival. The essence of the technique was simple, since both Naruto and Kurama could teleport in the fog, they simply chopped up everything alive that they felt in the fog, constantly changing their trajectory using teleportation. It took them half an hour to destroy half. After clearing the fog, Naruto and Kurama saw that the alliance had only destroyed a quarter of their half. I thought they would be stronger, a whole army can't cut vegetables, I'll have to help. Naruto said and pulled the lines that were on his fingers. About 100 orange zetsu ran next to him, they ran into the crowd of whites and began to cut them. An hour later, the remaining white zetsu were destroyed. The blonde pulled the line even harder and the orange heads fell to the ground. Medics arrived on the battlefield and began to treat the wounded. I hope you've warmed up, otherwise the second round is about to begin, said the masked man, who appeared out of nowhere and summoned a statue of Geto and about 50 coffins. The end of the war and the reign of peace. The coffins that had just appeared opened and the resurrected warriors came out of them. Among them were all the previous Kage except for the 3 Hokage whose souls were sealed in the God of Death. Also among the resurrected were the swordsmen of the mist and the deceased members of the Akatsuki. In addition to the resurrected, white zetsu began to crawl out of the ground. Cutting vegetables again, so stop, these are stronger, said Kurama. I'll take care of the swordsmen, and you take care of the Kage, I think they'll deal with the rest, Naruto said. 2 blondes suddenly burst into the crowd of resurrected people. Naruto was surrounded by 8 people, and Kurama by about 10. Is it really a child who came out against us? Said Akabino, looking down at the blonde. Underestimate him, he is the strongest swordsman of the mist that now walks the earth. If I were alive I definitely would not fight him, and even now I do not want to fight him, said Zabuza, barely hiding his fear. There are 8 of you here, so I need 8 seals. Naruto thought out loud for some reason, gluing the seals onto the needles. The swordsman unsealed the usual katana, and Haku took out the needles. The blonde sharply reduced the distance and tried to strike the guy in the mask, since he remembered his abilities. Haku defended himself with an ice wall, and as soon as Naruto's sword touched it, the swordsman asked for it. The guy in the mask immediately used a mirror trap. And Akabimo used the fog technique. Stupid bully, why did you use the mist? You gave him an advantage in movement, Zabuza shouted. Naruto found it much easier to dodge the 7 swords needles, but he still missed some hits. Damn, why didn't I take the Totsuka sword from Sasuke? Well, I'll use the Dance of 8 Blades technique, thought the blonde, and stuck the needles into the ground, unsealing 8 katanas covered with seals. He threw the katanas up and, standing with his hands on the needles, became the hilts of the katanas with his feet. The swords were sent into a deadly flight, and since Naruto sent his chakra at them, he could teleport them, which made it almost impossible to dodge the blows, but even under this condition, the blonde needed half an hour to seal everyone. The fog cleared and Naruto saw how Kurama, having nailed the last enemy with Decapitator, seals him. I didn't think that you would defeat 10 Kage, the blonde said with a grin, approaching the fox. Go Saito Shikaku exhale under the tail, said Kurama with a wild out of breath. We have a maximum of a minute to rest, and then we need to go help the others. We could have used the technique of destroying fog again, but those idiots just ran away all over the battlefield. We just need to break into the crowd. For an entire hour, Naruto and Kurama ran around the battlefield killing white zetsu, and since they spat on defense, they received many light wounds. The alliance was somehow able to seal the remaining resurrected, suffering serious losses. Well, now let's play seriously, said the man in the mask and summoned another coffin, from which came out a man in red armor with the Uchiha clan crest and black hair that looked like spikes. Why did you call me ahead of time? They did better than expected. Someone will have to hold them off while I resurrect the 10 tails. Naruto ordered everyone to retreat and signaled his squad to make it rain. He appeared in front of the 2 blondes in armor. You two are the strongest here. I, Madara Uchiha, will fight you. All 3 engaged in taijutsu, and since it started raining on the battlefield, Madara's fire techniques were weakened. After 10 minutes, Uchiha began to miss blows, and in order to keep up with the 2 blondes, he activated the Sharingan. Well, we can do that too, said Kurama, and he and Naruto dispelled the hench from their eyes. And the battle is becoming more and more interesting. I have never had to fight with both the Sharingan and the Byakugan at the same time. They met again in close combat. Madara with a sharp lunge cut Naruto's cheek with the scythe that he unsealed from his wrist. The blonde pulled the fishing line that was still wound around his wrist, and needles appeared in his hands, and Kurama simply stretched his hands back and Samahata and Decapitator appeared in them. Well, how will you cope with this? Madara said after 10 minutes of fighting and activated full Susanoo. The blondes closed their eyes for about 10 seconds, and opening them, Madara saw that Tomo appeared on their Byakugan, and after another 10 seconds they also activated a full Susanoo. Kurama's Susanoo was orange and looked like a samurai in a fox mask and 9 tails. Naruto's Susanoo was yellow and, oddly enough, female, or rather it was in the form of a girl with a halo on her head and an arch behind her back, like Enel from One Piece. The face of the Susanoo was Mei's face. Flashback. 4 years ago, an assassination attempt was made on Mei when she and Naruto went to the stone to negotiate. The attackers were able to take the blonde into a cauldron and put a couple of restraining seals on Mei. Naruto, seeing how his soul was on the verge of death, unknowingly turned the Byakugan into a Sharingan and activated a full Susanoo, which looked exactly like Mei. End of flashback. You can also summon Susanoo, which means you also have Mangyoko. It's a pity you didn't live in my time, said Madara, and katanas appeared in his Susanoo's hands. Kurama got a huge 2-handed sword, and Naruto got gloves with claws. The Battle of the Titans began, which raised everything nearby to dust. It would have lasted for about 10 hours if not for the terrible roar that the monster that emerged from the ghetto statue emitted. Madara suddenly appeared next to the man in the mask and pierced his chest with 1 blow, after which he subdued the monster. Well, that's all we need. We can't fight this monster and protect the alliance at the same time, he said, turning to Kurama, who also dispelled the Susanoo. Reinforcements have arrived, was heard from behind the blondes. Turning around, they saw Sasuke, Orochimaru, and the 3 resurrected Hokage. Hey Naruto, haven't you noticed that some kind of nonsense has been going on for the last few hours? Kurama said, looking at the new arrivals. Yes, there is such a thing. First, living vegetables, then resurrected shinobi with Madara, and now also living Orochimaru, who died, and the resurrected Hokage who came to help us. Did I mention everything? Naruto said and looked at the fox. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I completely lost the thread of what was happening. You'll be playing idiots for a long time. We need to defeat this monster. The Hokage will put up a barrier and you deal with this crap, Sasuke said, pointing at the 10-tailed one. The 3 Hokage set up a barrier, and the 2 blondes again activated their full Susanoo and rushed towards the monster. An hour later, Naruto and Kurama stood in front of the monster, barely keeping their balance. They were able to inflict huge damage on the monster, but they themselves received no less. Well, that's enough playing around, said Matter, and sealed the 10-tailed beast inside himself. His skin and hair turned white, a white kimono and 6 balls of truth appeared, and a horn grew out of his forehead. Now he's also become Otsutsuki, maybe he'll summon Kagaya too? Hey Naruto, what do you think we should do with him? Kurama said, looking at the blonde. I have one last trump card left, but you will get in my way, so go to the Alliance camp, and if I die here, please look after Mei and Himawari. Kurama just nodded and left the barrier. Naruto folded 24 seals and removed the last restraining seal. His chakra became 10 times stronger, and now even Madara got goosebumps. Naruto used the technique and everything in the barrier was drowned in orange fog. The blonde and Madara again met in close combat. To the surprise of the Uchiha, he could not keep up with the enemy. Their fight lasted about an hour. They inflicted huge damage on each other, which is why both could barely stand on their feet. Naruto's arms were worn down almost to the bone, and his body was a living hell. He looked like a walking mess. Having decided that it was time to finish, each of them put all their remaining strength into the final blow. Naruto was there for a couple of moments and pierced Madara's heart. He in turn pierced the blonde's left shoulder. Naruto was found only 3 days later, because during the battle they broke through the barrier and disappeared in an unknown direction. "There you are. Oh, you're still alive. They're already going to bury you there," said Kurama, standing in front of the blonde. "Shut up, Kurama, cough, I need a little help, cough dash dot." Naruto said in a whisper and extended his hand to the fox. Kurama lifted his Jinchuriki onto his shoulders and went to the Alliance camp. They arrived within an hour and Tsunade and Mei immediately began to treat him. A couple of hours later, the first aid operation was completed and Naruto, having come to his senses, asked to gather all the survivors. Emu tried to explain that he was not yet able to even walk, but he did not listen to anyone. An hour later, all the shinobi who survived were in front of the hillock, from where Naruto began the attack. Kurama himself took the blonde out on a wheelchair and stood with him in the same place where they stood at the beginning. Making sure that everyone could see him, Naruto began to speak, directing the last of his chakra into his vocal cords. He told them what motivated Madara. After the blonde's blow, they both fell and Madara lived for another half hour without a heart. He told Naruto everything, made him feel guilty, which helped him convince everyone that they need to live in peace and no longer use tailed beasts as weapons. He did this at Kurama's request, although he did it even without his requests. Having made it clear that he was finished, the fox took him back to the field hospital, where Naruto safely lost consciousness. He woke up not on the couch but on a soft bed. Opening his eyes, he saw that he was lying in a hospital room. Turning his head, he noticed a staff that stood next to the bed and taking it, the blonde walked out of the room leaning on the staff. In the corridor, a nurse was walking towards him, carrying a tray with instruments, I don't know what to call it, and seeing the blonde, she dropped it. "And Naruto, you need to lie down, you haven't fully recovered yet," she said, looking at Naruto with worry. "I don't have time to waste time, I need to teach the kids," the blonde said with a smile. "Do you need anything else?" Tsunade asked out of nowhere. "Oh Hokage-sama, I'm tired of lying here." "Follow me," said the Hokage. An hour later, they were sitting in the Hokage's office at the residence. "I'll answer your question right away, they are all in the fog, we agreed that we would cure you and send you back into the fog. I need an escort, I am not fit to go anywhere on my own. Kakashi and Jiraiya will accompany you. And by the way, you were unconscious for a week." "We'll leave in an hour," said the blonde, getting up from his chair. "This is of course a stupid question, but do you want to stay in Konoha? You know my answer." Arriving at the gate, he saw Kakashi and Jiraiya waiting. Kakashi said that he would carry the blonde on his back. Along the way, Jiraiya told Naruto that he was his godfather. He was also told that Sasuke had returned to the village and started dating Sakura, that his partners and Orochimaru had also remained in the village, but the snake was not there now. They arrived in a week and immediately brought Naruto to his home. At home, Mei, Kurama and, surprisingly, 2 Himawaris were waiting for the blonde, one of which had cat ears and 2 tails. "It seems like I haven't used the Manjiko ability much, but I've started seeing double," Naruto said, looking at his 2 daughters. "While you were unconscious, she became friends with the 2-tailed one, after which the 2-tailed one herself asked to seal her in Himawari, and after sealing her, I told her about the method that you used in the war, and you can see the result before your eyes," said Kurama, stirring his coffee. "So let's tell me all the shocking things at once." "Well then, go upstairs, through the sealed door, my love," Mei said with a smile. Naruto stood up and, removing the seal from the door, he entered the room. His parents were sitting in it, alive. The blonde tried to dispel the illusion, but his parents did not disappear. "Silly, it really is us," said Kushina, hugging her son. "But how?" Naruto asked with tears in his eyes. "First, Orochimaru resurrected us, and then Nagato revived him with the Rinnegan," said Minato, after which he also hugged his son. 5 years passed, Naruto married Mei as soon as he turned 18, they had 3 children, twin boys named Menma and Umi, and a girl named Naruko. Naruto also transplanted his Sharingan to Himawari, and Madara's Sharingan to himself, which he took at his request, Mei also received an eye transplant and received her daughters Byakugan and Madara's second Sharingan. Naruto's parents decided to settle in the mist, and after a couple of years of living they had a daughter, who they named Ayam. Since the Biju were in human bodies, they began to experience human feelings, that is, Kurama and Matatabi began to date. At first, it was strange to see Naruto and Himawari as father and daughter, and 5 minutes later as a couple in love, but eventually everyone got used to it. All 5 villages decided not to break the peace treaty and harmony finally reigned in the world.